Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Commissioners Court of Hood County, Texas, called pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act. Today is Tuesday, February the 25th, 2020. It's 9 a.m. We're in the Century Jury Room of the Hood County Justice Center at 1200 West Pearl Street, Granbury, Texas. And today, again, we have Dr. Bill Miller, who's been kind enough on behalf of the Ministerial Alliance to bring with us Pastor Jacob Stump of the Calvary Church of Granbury to give the invocation. I want you to know that my grandmother was a member of the Pentecostal Church, and it's a pleasure to welcome you, Pastor Stump. Would you please rise and let us give us the invocation?
It's an honor to be here this morning, and good morning. Let us pray. Lord Jesus Christ, as we come together today to consider the affairs of Hood County, we pause for a moment to recognize your sovereign governance over not only this court, but over all creation. You are the God who counts the number of the stars, naming each one of them individually. And yet you also notice when a single sparrow falls from the sky. This tells us that you are the Lord over all things, both small and great, high and low, and that in your eyes the life of a single sparrow is as important as the vast number of stars in the heaven. It is for this reason that today we humbly and yet confidently invite your presence into our meeting here today as we consider matters important to us, to our community, and to our county. Lord Jesus, we ask that just as you govern with wisdom, we pray that you would grant your wisdom to these officials here today. Just as you judge with equity and with truth, we pray that you would grant them the discernment to know what is right and what is just. And just as you reign with mercy and kindness, holding grace to the humble and resistance to the proud, we pray this meeting would be crowned by your divine mercy, and that each word spoken here today would be seasoned with your grace. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. We ask all of this in the precious name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Now will you join me in our Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in the honor of the Texas side.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you all very much. The next item that we have is the Special Presentation Service Awards. Miss Melissa Welburn. And I noticed that you're on here. You going to give an award to yourself today, too?
I am, thank you.
Okay, all right.
The first service award this morning is for Jonathan Frost.
5 years, huh?
Yes, sir.
That's good.
Been with me 5 years in the jail. Thank you, sir. This is for you also. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Keith is not here.
Okay, the next is Keith Martin. Keith Martin, are you out campaigning, sir?
Could be. He's off work today, off duty, so he could be out campaigning.
Okay,
Shaking hands, kissing babies.
okay, all right.
I believe the next one here today is Denise Weaver.
All right. Dennis Weaver. Oh, I know this lady. I can vouch that she's a very hard worker because she's right
I'd like to tell the
across from
court
me.
one thing about this lady. This is one of the most dedicated employees this county has got. I'm so proud to have her working in our office.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, this next lady needs no introduction, but rather than giving an award to herself, this is Melissa Welborn that everybody in the county knows, and she's been with the county for 5 wonderful years and does an excellent job in all respect. I doubt if this county could do without her. You agree with that, Commissioner
Sure,
Deaver?
Judge. Judge, you want to step down there and give her her
I appreciate that.
award? Show them beads.
Me. Good. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I don't think Casey's here. Our next one is Gerald Rogers.
15 years. Gerald? That's getting up there, my friend.
Slaving away in the jail all these years. Thank you for your service. Got one more.
One more, Casey Wilkin.
Wilkins, 5 years.
Yep.
That's,
Casey came into patrol, and now he's on our special unit that deals with the mental health people, so
oh, good. Congratulations.
here's this.
Hey, is that all of the special presentations this morning? Thank you, Ms. Welborn. Okay, I just wanted to make an announcement that any citizen that would like to discuss anything on the agenda today, if you will fill out a public participation form that Sheriff Deeds has and tell us what item you'd like to speak on it. Oh, my goodness. Now I got Tony Mobley and Chris Kaufman. I didn't, Sheriff, why did you have to hand? Not everybody's entitled to get these. Okay, well, too late now, I guess. All right. Okay. But you are limited, and I'd like to say this, to 5 minutes. You're not required to take all 5 minutes, Mr. Mobley. But you have up to 5 minutes, okay? All right. Thank you very much. All right. The next item is the consent agenda. Does any of the commissioners wish to pull any item on the consent agenda?
Got one item under personnel, and I would appreciate it if Becky would clear up which item I need to pull off on that.
You have a list of personnel changes that's not listed out here. There's an EO2 position on there that we will process in next court as an EO1 with the step increase. It just needs to go through regular, under the miscellaneous category, to keep in line with your policies. And
That's for Mr. Donald Lenny? Yes, sir. You all right with that, Mr. Lenny? We're going to take care of you the next time, okay?
And
Is that
we'll
a
make
deal?
it retro to today.
It'd be retro back
Yes, sir.
to that? Okay. All right. Any other items to be pulled off?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion been made by Commissioner Cotton to approve the consent agenda with the exception of the one item that was pulled off, second by Commissioner Eagle. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, the next item, I understand for the first time in a long time that we have both Mr. Donald Lenny and Mr. Clint Head up here, but neither one of them have any items to discuss today. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here, though. Okay? That brings us down to financial. Ms. Becky Kidd, the auditor's office. Yes, ma'am.
For item number 1, we're going to do a transfer from general fund to adult probation. Their overall numbers are down, and we need to support them, and that's pretty much all this is.
Okay. No
Would you like-
problem with it? We got the
No,
money?
Yes, sir, we're fine, and we really want to help adult probation.
Ms. Berry's going to continue to try to get some more money from the state.
Yes, sir. In the next biennium, they're proposing, hopefully, an additional $70,000 per year, and that would be to our department. And so that would get us where we need to be. But as of right now, we're just in a really bad situation. Our numbers are down significantly just over the last 5 to 6 years.
Okay. Okay, do I hear a motion?
I'll go ahead and make the motion to authorize the line item transfer to support adult probation and expenditures in the general fund of $25,000.
Your second. Okay, motion been made by Commissioner Cotton to transfer to adult probation $25,000 from the general fund, or increase the transfer to Fund 087 and decrease the Fund 055, second by Commissioner White. Let me say this about discussion. Ms. Berry does an excellent job. She's hardworking. I met with her this morning at 8 a.m. like I do every second and fourth Tuesday of the month, and she is hardworking, and I think this is money that's well-deserved here. So with that, is there any other discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Berry. Thank you, Ms. Kidd.
Thank you so much.
Okay, item number 2, consider payment of invoices for the period February 6, 2020 through February 19, 2020. Discuss vendor payment over $10,000 and take appropriate actions. Ms. Kidd.
Expenditures for this court are $1,245,067.88. The auditor's office has reviewed all these invoices and recommends payment. And do any of you have questions regarding any invoices or any documents you've received?
Okay, any discussion? Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion to pay the bills and approve the over $10,000 expenditures. The amount is $1,245,067.88.
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Commissioner Deaver to approve the payment of the bills, second by Commissioner Cotton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, item number 3, consider financial reports received and reviewed by the Audit Department for the period February 1st, 2020 through February 15, 2020, and take appropriate action. Ms. Kidd.
Judge, again, you've all received advance copies of these monthly reports. We have reviewed them and see no problems and recommend approving these monthly reports.
I see that you have a no by the district clerk.
We did not receive a complete report. I believe it has finally come in, but it was after that we've already done the agenda. So it will be on next month's agenda.
That's for January?
Yes, sir.
Okay, other than that, is there any other discussion? Do I hear a motion?
Judge, I'll make the motion to approve the monthly reports for the month of January.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Commissioner White to approve the report, second by Commissioner Eagle. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Anything else, Ms.?
Yes, sir. We have the review of the sheriff commissary inmate and bail bond financial report. This was completed last month. We saw no issues with this, and a letter has already been issued to jail standards on behalf of the county. And we ask that you accept this report, which you have received a copy of.
Okay.
Judge, I'll make the motion to accept the 2020 review of the sheriff's commissary, inmate, and bail bonds financial records.
Second it.
Made by Commissioner Cotton to accept the report of the Sheriff's Commissary, Inmate, and Bail Bond Financial Report, second by Commissioner Eagle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Kidd. Okay, the first item under the miscellaneous is to discuss and take appropriate action to approve the Hood County operation and use of county vehicles policy, and open this up for discussion.
Judge, me and the HR director kind of went through this, kind of had a draft procedure from the last court for the court to look at to bring forward for this court. And HR wanted to make a few changes on it also. And the changes are, if you got your backup, are in the highlights. I think this kind of covers all the stuff that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. And like the judge said, this is open for discussion. If you see some changes need to be done, we won't approve it today. If you like what we've done, we can approve it today.
Does anybody have anything they wish to add to what Commissioner Deaver has said regarding Hood County operations and use of county vehicles?
I've read it and studied it, and I think it's good. I think it covers a lot of holes that were in it, and makes it more plain about what the policy is. So, yeah, I haven't seen any problem with it at all.
So here,
Judge, with no further discussion, I'd like to make a motion to approve the updated Hood County operations use of county vehicles policy.
I'll second it.
okay, motion been made by Commissioner Deaver to approve the Hood County operations and use of county vehicle policy, second by Commissioner Cotton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1. Okay, item
Nay,
number
Judge.
2,
Who was the nay, Judge?
Commissioner White. Item number 2, consider and take appropriate action to award contract for RFB 2020-001 Road Operations Metal Pole Barn Addition Expansion. Ms. Nelda. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. This RFB was issued in the Hood County News twice, on January 18th and January 25th. It was also published on our county website. It was opened in the purchasing department, a public place, on February the 10th, 2020 at 2 p.m. We received 3 bids. You should have those tallies in your packet for openness. G-Force and Associates bid $43,539. T4 Construction bid $142,440.26. And Equistar Construction bid $39,000, which is, that's just for the materials. The total cost, I'm sorry, I read from the wrong column. G-Force was $87,134 total. T4 was $223,753.14 total, and Equistar is $69,000 total. And I apologize for reading the wrong column. Mr. Lenny and I have inquired about Equistar. They were the low bidder, and we have been told they do good work, things like that. So in conjunction with Mr. Lenny, the purchasing department would like to recommend that we award this to Equistar at a total of $69,000.
Equistar?
EQUI and then star, separate words.
Well, if Mr. Donald Lenny recommends that, that's a pretty good recommendation, because he's usually on top of stuff, isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, that's my deal. So anybody
Judge, I'd like to make the motion to accept the EquiStar bid of $69,000.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion been made by Commissioner Deaver to accept EquiStar's bid for the metal pole barn for $69,000, second by Commissioner White. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Item number 3, discuss and consider approving budget code for checks from the Texas Association of County in the amount of $6,595 and $32,450 for permanently attached equipment, graphics, and the total loss of Sheriff Office Tahoe. Mr. You didn't destroy this Tahoe, did you, Mr.
No, I
McDonald?
didn't, but I'm taking care of the problem.
Okay, well, that's,
Tahoe Lynn.
yeah. You know he was going to say he wasn't responsible for it during his
Correct.
correct time here, okay.
Correct time.
What have you, tell us about this.
Well, we got a
Lieutenant?
Tahoe that's been totaled out. Insurance TAC has paid us $39,045 for the vehicle and all the graphics and taking everything off and putting it all back on. So I think the most time we put it back in Fund 55, that's where we buy the vehicles out of anyways.
The difference is, it's pretty much of a wash, isn't it?
It's gonna be-
Not very much difference, maybe a few $100 difference.
Yeah, and it depends on, I know I've got my quotes, but sometimes I can talk them down when I start playing hardball and getting everything done. So
Right.
we're going to be
We're
at the
close.
most a few $100 over. I'll have to come back, but if we put it back in my Fund 55 for vehicles and equipment, well, I think I'll be able to take care of things.
It'd be fine. There's still some additional equipment money in there, so he would be fine. It's a few $100.
Yeah.
He'll have to come back.
Okay, well, do I hear a motion?
Judge, I'll make the motion to approve the insurance payment for the wrecked Tahoe.
Second.
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Commissioner Deaver to approve the amounts of the check of $6,595 and $32,450 for the permanently attached equipment and total loss of the Office Tahoe, and to be transferred into Fund 55. And I'm assuming that if there's a shortfall, that it would be made up. Is that part of your motion also?
Yes, sir.
Well, I can come back and get it out of y'all's fund.
Okay, well, why don't you just pay it out of your pocket?
No.
Okay, if you can't negotiate it. Okay, that's been seconded by
I'll make that motion.
I'll second
Yeah,
that one.
that's right. If you
Second
can't
that one.
negotiate any better than that, you know. Okay. Second by Commissioner White. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Lynn, you can let Jay show you how to do that negotiating.
Okay. Item number 4, discuss and take appropriate action in regard to using Fund 55 for 2 unexpected projects that total $755,000. You know what? It's a good thing that our good friend up here,
I'm back.
Mr. Drew Whitaker's up here, because if anybody else came up here with an unexpected project for $755,000, we'd be asking Lynn McDonald to come up here and cuff him up and take him outside.
Well,
But,
luckily, unlike Lynn, I was able to drop the first price by $200,000, so I can at least negotiate a little bit, a teeny bit.
What would you do, get it on sale?
you hear that, don't you, Mr. McDonald?
I heard that.
He- Okay, explain this for us, will you?
So as you know, or if you did not know, as of January, of course, Microsoft stopped all support for Windows 7 moving forward. And of course, we have been proactive, of course, with all of our desktops and laptops to move everything over to Windows 10. Well, the only thing we were unable to do is move the Toughbooks forward. And of course, we need 80 of them for all of the departments, not just the sheriff's office, even though he takes half of them. But we're talking all fire, all constables, and
How many we talking about?
80.
80? That's what I thought you said.
And that will give my department at least 2 spares to have on hand in case anything actually happens. If, a vehicle gets totaled or something, we can throw in a new one. But really, I mean, if you have any questions.
So 40 of these books are 10 years old?
That is correct. So the last time the director before myself came to ask for Tough Books, we only purchased, I believe, 33 of them at the time. And that was strictly for the sheriff's department. And of course, we refurbished what we could from the sheriff's department, and that's what went out to all the fire stations and everything, or at least those departments. So those departments currently have like 12-year-old, 10-year-old Tough Books right now.
So, and 40 of them are 4.5 years old. And you've told me you want to cycle them out about every 5 years.
Yes, I think this is a good time, and it's a good thing you brought this up. I know I spoke with each one of you individually, and I spoke to the auditor. With the way it seems, the biggest challenge, I know at least for myself, and I'm sure maybe the sheriff and some other departments, is the mentality that we only fix it if it fails. Which, again, it's your choice, it's the court's choice, and that's fine. However, we're at that line, and we've kind of really passed that with quite a few projects within the past year, that if we keep that same mentality moving forward, there won't be enough money in Fund 55 to even cover half of these projects, that I have at least. And of course, by saying and doing that, I do have, an up-to-date, ever-changing 10-year roadmap that I keep of all the different things going on, all the different contracts we have, all of our major projects, because I think we should start, I know some court members won't be here, but the new court coming in, we can start actually taking it a chunk at a time, because again, a few $100,000 is a lot easier to swallow than, $750,000, $1 million, et cetera, moving forward.
I mean, I look at it as like, like we do with the Tahoes, every year we just
Absolutely.
replace a few, so it seems like we need to start replacing some of the Tough Books.
Absolutely, and I mean, we came into this, I know I say, we're talking about the Tough Books now, but another good example is the courtrooms last year. We tried the court before, I brought it to court. I know the department heads of the courtrooms were not, present, but I know Commissioner Deaver brought up, well, couldn't we just do like 2 courtrooms now? And that would be great, but we didn't. The court at the time did not do that. And of course, then fast forward 6 months and hey, we just got hit with $500,000 because now all the courtrooms need to be done at once. It's the same kind of mentality here, Even at the time, we only did a little bit of them, and now we can't do that because now we have to have them. Otherwise, we'll be out of compliance. And so I apologize.
Could I, we had a chat yesterday about this, and I just want to make sure I understand for the people out here what Tough Books is, and you can jump in, Sheriff, or you anytime if I'm incorrect, but the way I understand this is that if a patrolman is out in the field and pulls someone over and needs to do an immediate check through Tough Books, it's going to an FBI database as well as the state. Is that correct?
Correct. Exactly.
And what's happening here is that basically the state, via the federal government as well, is telling us if we don't do this, we're not going to be able to get into their database and to get access. Is that correct?
That is correct. So, and that is what CGIS is, CGIS. It's basically a standard that the FBI puts into place, giving us a guideline that says if you want access to, our criminal history in our database to run scans or checks on, then you have to follow, this compliance. And it's a 300-page, PDF file that we do comply, that, I do my best to stay on top of. So the sheriff's office and the constables and the fire, they have the ability to do that. And that's kind of what also brought this up, is that right now we're not necessarily out of compliance because someone from the state has not come in and said, hey, you fail. But they could at any time because they randomly come in and check. So this would be a precaution so we don't fail.
So they're making us do this in order to get access, correct?
That's part of it. And the
In a
other
way,
part
yes.
of it, in January 2009, we went with the mobile data terminals, the Tough Books, in all the vehicles out there. So it not only interfaces the CGIS requirements and going back and forth with TCIC, NCIC, but it's all the Spillman database is there. A lot of things are there. So the Spillman's moving forward, a lot of things are moving forward, but the Tough Books are not able to be updated to move forward. So we have to improve the equipment so we can keep running the software. So it interfaces in my vehicles with the cameras, the software that's on the computers, all that stuff. So it's not just running the criminal histories and things like that. That's a part of it, though.
My question is, what do we do with the old Tough Books? Are they salvageable? Can we do anything with them?
I mean, we can try to auction them and see if we could get something, maybe someone, a private party, I mean, someone, that wants it for a pet project, I couldn't tell you. But we can, that's what we will do, is we'll put them, or send them to auction.
And is Tough Books, is it a Windows 7 base program that?
It's a Windows-based,
So we're stuck with them to some extent.
Exactly, unless someone wants to.
And then they've
like
got
I
a
said-
cottage industry that comes around and makes sure we did it.
Exactly.
That's great.
Bobby, how many years are these going to be good for? Because every so often, it's like a computer. You buy a
Yes, and-
computer, in 2 years, it's obsolete.
Exactly, and that was the idea, is to cycle them into our replacement cycle. So I would say probably 3 to 5 years, but more realistic, 4 to 6.
Okay.
If we're constant with it, But like I said, the last time, we only bought a portion of them, and we tried to expand, refurbish the other ones the best we could. And I mean, and that's the thing, we get a lot of calls from fire going, hey, our Tough Book doesn't work. And I know, we supply them with one and a Verizon Air Card for the one vehicle that we give out to all the voluntary.
So in 4 to 5 years, the new court coming in is going to start thinking about new Tough Books again.
Yes, and that's the thing. And like I said, I keep a 10-year spreadsheet. It's ever changing because it's hard to predict 10 years out, let alone one. So I update it regularly, but it has everything, especially all these massive projects that we've been going through, to break it up a lot easier. So each year is only $400,000 compared to $1.5 million, $1.5 million. So that's what I would like to do.
How much by buying 80 of them did you save, Drew? Or how much?
$200,000.
Okay.
Because originally I was going to put it on the quote when we were going to go out to, I guess, borrow money.
I remember when we talked about it in budget and capital.
Yep, I threw out a number. It was about 800,000-ish or so, but luckily I was able to knock it down.
Okay.
So it's
I don't see where we have a choice. We don't have a choice.
We really don't, but it's your choice. It's still a choice.
It's our choice, but we don't really have a choice.
I mean, normally I don't put anything on the agenda if it's a choice to say yes or no. Normally everything I throw on the agenda is a need, but generally a need always comes with a high price tag. So I apologize.
But if we didn't do this, they could go back to number 2, pencil and paper, is that what it is?
No, I wish.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, really?
And then the FBI and the state are not going to cooperate with us.
Exactly.
Well, that's the big deal. So like I said, these Tough Books are not tough enough, but nothing you can do about it.
Nothing
I
I
like
can
your
do about
idea on the way you've always kept up with everything. and
Absolutely. I
so-
try.
Yeah.
I try to be as diligent as I can.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I'd like to ask another question first, though, are we going to vote on item A and B? Can you tell us about item B, what
Yes.
that's about?
Oh, did you want to?
I do have a question. Who were you?
CDWG. CDWG. It has, I'll get you everything, and it has all the DIR and everything on it for you.
So tell us about your increase in your backup space.
So,
What's going on there?
as last year, when 20 municipalities basically got hit with that cyber crime and, they were taken down. Of course, I was up here presenting, and we went with an option to provide multiple data centers at different locations in case a building goes down or a building is taken out by a tornado or something. You know, we have the ability to move everything over to another data center and continue to operate. So the sheriff's office can continue to operate 24/7, et cetera. That being said, it was brought to my attention that there is a storage device that was sitting in an office over in the LEC that has 10 to 15 years worth of case files and all the digital evidence tied to that storage device. And it's a standalone unit, so it's not being backed up at all or anything to that nature. So I would, once I found out about it, of course, you know, I got a quote to see what we could do to rectify the issue, because I would hate to lose, you know, the last 15 years worth of case files and and all data, basically all electronic, I guess, evidence, as you would say, that goes with those cases.
You wouldn't want to lose 10 or 15 years of evidence.
No, exactly. And I guess you could tell the captain to just start opening jail cells and letting everyone out. Because how do you try people without evidence if it's all gone?
Again, you give us no choice.
I apologize. But I just found out about it, so.
Well, I think you do an excellent job in keeping us up to date with everything, and even last night, although I like your new system you did on blood warrants that you got out, but I get a call at 12:30 at midnight to get somebody out, but it only took a few minutes to do that with what you've implemented, so I think you do an excellent job. So again, does your motion also include, Commissioner Cotton, to increase the data storage backup files in the amount of $155,000?
Yes, it does. That motion is to approve the $755,000 for the Tough Books and an additional $155,000 to increase the data center storage to back up case files.
Do I hear a second?
Well, wait a minute, the total's 755.
Yes, 600 plus 155.
Okay, sorry.
That's all right.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Commissioner Cotton to go ahead and give Drew $755,000 to replace the aging Tough Books and to also buy the backup case files for $155,000 for a total of $755,000. Second by Commissioner White. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
I think I have.
Okay, the next item under miscellaneous is discuss and take appropriate action in requesting the county judge to sign the IBM yearly master agreement.
This one's very simple. We currently still use 2 IBM storage solutions at the data center and the EOC, and this is just their yearly master agreement that we signed, just saying, yes, we still, you know, use their system into production today, and that's really what it's about. Pretty simple.
Does it cost us anything?
Nope. Nope. It's just basically just saying to IBM that we use their system still.
Well, if it doesn't cost anything, I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and sign the IBM yearly master agreement. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Cotton. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Mr. Whitaker, you're still up here. Discuss and take appropriate action in requesting the county judge to sign the Tyler Technologies Professional Service Agreement to upgrade Tyler Odyssey to the current version. Yes, sir.
Okay. This one is, I'll apologize on my behalf because I looked at it as an upgrade, but it is, to my understanding, it is legislative updates only. I guess there was some confusion thinking that we were actually updating Tyler Odyssey itself, and I have not gone down that path yet. I do know it is 2 versions behind, but like I said, this is just legislative updates to get caught up with what has already been passed.
Tona Hitt called me last week and said that she was not in favor of updating her Odyssey system.
Yes, and that was the confusion.
Is that the issue?
That was the confusion, because again, before last court, I got an email from Tona that basically said, hey, we need to put this on the agenda. And I was like, well, it's too late to put it on last court. I can put it to next court. And really, I guess it was my fault. I just glanced through it and I just saw updates. I was like, okay, standard software updates, okay, throw it on the agenda. But it's actually legislative updates.
So is she in favor of this or not?
She was, the phone conversation I had, she was in favor of it, but I don't want to speak for someone
I
else.
asked her to come to court if she had problems.
I don't want to speak for someone else. But no, we're not actually updating Odyssey itself. That will be a different path or a different road to go down.
Yeah.
Does it cost you anything?
It does. This one costs $1,400, and I will take care of it out of my budget, out of my software
You said
budget.
that too fast, 1,400?
Yes, sir.
That's the least you've ever come in this court and said for anything. That's chump change for you, Drew.
I know.
Rita, do you know anything about this?
Yes, it's just the legislative turn. Tony would be in here, she has the flu. And she didn't want to infect anybody because she can't find a face mask. So it's just the legislative changes, revamped all the court costs. We have to keep up with them. And Tyler Odyssey is going to map them through our case files and map them to the right spots.
So this would be good for y'all.
Yes.
This is what y'all want, right?
They have to have it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This is legislative updates that were passed, I believe it was last year. We're trying to get current.
This is another one of those have-to-have, so do I hear a motion in this regard?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to, what are we doing? We're updating Tyler Technologies Professional Services Agreement to upgrade Tyler Odyssey to the current version.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. Motion been made by Commissioner Cotton to allow the county judge to sign the Tyler Technologies Professional Service Agreement to upgrade the Tyler Odyssey, second by Commissioner Deaver. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Whitaker. Okay. Item number 7 under miscellaneous, discuss and take appropriate action regarding tax assessor collector's request to replace floors in the office at Annex 1.
Good morning.
Good morning, Andy. How are you?
Good. How are y'all doing today, gentlemen?
Good. You brought sufficient backup, I see.
He's been working really hard for me on this.
Okay.
Our carpet is, well, we've got it glued down. We have it taped down. We have it monkey glued down. We've cut it with scissors. We've got holes in it. It's a safety hazard for the girls going back and forth with plates. It's over 20 years old, and it's a health issue. And where the front door leaked, it's like molded. It's brown. It's pretty bad. And so we're just asking to get the carpet replaced in our office, and Jay has got some really good quotes. Well, that one's yours. Here.
All right. Oh, okay.
Judge, I've been back there and looked at that.
Yes, he did.
It is in bad shape.
Well, he even cut his in the hallway with a pair of scissors. So he has seen it.
So I need a maintenance,
Yeah,
You're going to make it the maintenance time slip for
Yeah.
doing maintenance.
it's pretty bad in there. So we're just asking to have, I've already talked to Becky of getting the funds out of 55 for us to get the carpet replaced.
Basically, what we've done, we went in and looked at it. We got quotes to have it put in. We're thinking we'd rather put in a vinyl planking, a commercial grade, do away with the carpet. It's hard with the amount of traffic that they have in that office to keep that carpet clean. The cleaning ladies do an awesome job of it, but I don't know, if you pull the carpet up, there'll still be dirt under it.
Yeah.
There's so much traffic in there, especially from the public. We chose the vinyl, and so after we got the bid in on it, I wasn't real fond of that, and we've gotten to a point, y'all have been gracious enough to let me hire some new folks. We're going to lay that for them. We're looking at approximately, it's about the size of a house, a small house, 1,400 square foot. We can do this. We'll just do it for them. And so the reason for the quote was, it's roughly 5344. We wanted to add a little bit in there because we're not sure what all we're going to have to do when we get the carpet up. And then I added $500 for trim that, which is still under the original bid that we got, and that way, we'll just do this in-house. And that way, we can work better with them, because what we'll do, we'll pick a section, do it, we'll move them over. When we get that done, then we can move them back onto it, and we can just kind of go. So it'll be a work in progress, but we can do it quickly.
We even offer to get down there and help him lift it up if we have to.
That's good.
So you're asking for $5,344.36, not to exceed that? Is that what you're asking for?
No.
I would like to round that up to, just on the chance that we need a little extra more, I was thinking closer in the realm of 6,500.
6,500? Okay,
And-
not to exceed?
Not to exceed.
Right, not to exceed, and then hopefully we'll give you some of that back.
Okay.
Where's that money going to come from, Becky? Okay.
Okay.
How quick can you get it done, Jay? If the court approves this?
If the court approves it, I'll order it today, the material, and it'll be here, and it's through the co-op and everything. I should have it sometime next week and maybe the following week, maybe 2 weeks, we'll be started.
Not getting in your business, but here's a thought. Wouldn't it be better to maybe do it on a weekend when there's no traffic in there and get your guys some comp time? I know we don't like comp time, but that would be hard to do with the traffic coming in and out, and maybe do the job on the weekend, if the court would so allow them to do that.
Well, you tell me, if your people want to earn some
I
comp
have
time?
not
or-
asked that question. I mean, I could talk to them and see if they'd be willing to do that for comp time.
You don't like that word.
And I'm one of the comp time cops, so I don't like comp time. I think
Right,
I
I
think it would
mean,
be better for the citizens and for the
Because-
office. Could you do it in a weekend?
It'd be tough to do it all in a weekend, because I gotta have 2 guys just moving furniture and 2 guys laying it. I don't know yet for sure. I don't have a good handle on how long it's gonna take us to do it. I mean, if there was nothing in there, yeah, no problem, but we've got desks, we've got a lot of equipment, we've gotta move that, and I'm not sure about the security. I mean, one of y'all would
I
have to
would
be
be
there
there.
with us.
I'm there all the time anyway. So.
Did y'all have a plan on how this could be done
Well-
before you got here?
Yeah, we were thinking the front being done first for the customers, to move on, and then doing the dealer part first, because they can all be put over to that section, and then just go to the next section down. Because the dealer window, they have 2 windows that we can work off of, and then there's another one right next to it, so there's 3.
So you're confident in that it won't affect your office?
Not normally, no, and these, every one of them is willing to do what we have to do to help them get it taken care of.
Yeah, my whole plan was to work around them however we had to do it, and we were just gonna try to just move people around as we were doing it. I'm fine with doing it on the weekend. I haven't talked to my folks about that yet.
It's just a thought. I mean, I'm not getting your business. I mean, that's your
Well, no,
call.
and I'll ask that question.
I'll come up and do it too.
But we're more than willing to help move things around or whatever they need to do to make it go quicker.
Well, the way your office works together and the way Jay works together, y'all can work it out, whatever y'all see fit. That would be fine with me.
And I've already
Don't you
talked to the
think,
state, and they said that,
Yeah.
I've already talked to the state, and they said that I can be the one to go in there and unplug the state merchandise and put it back together. I've already discussed it with them as well.
Thinking ahead.
Oh, yes.
And I don't have no problem with this, 20-year-old carpet. I mean, it's wore out.
It is pretty bad.
And I got confidence in you and Don, how y'all run y'all's office.
Yes, thank you.
I wouldn't have been walking in there if I knew I was 20 years old. Myself on the thing.
Yeah.
Well, do I hear a motion?
Yeah, Judge, I'll make that motion to allow the tax assessor's office to replace the floor in the office at Annex 1 with the maintenance and the tax assessor's office working together to get the project moving. And approve $60,500, not to exceed.
Okay. Good. Do I hear-
Second.
Good. Okay. Motion's been made by Commissioner Deaver to go ahead and replace the floors in the tax assessor's office. I third that motion, by the way. And second by Commissioner Cotton, to not exceed $6,500, and for the tax collector's office and Mr. Jay Riley to figure out when you're going to get it done and how you're going to get it done. So all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you
I
very
can
much.
always count on y'all working together. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Jay.
Okay. Okay, item number 8, discuss and take appropriate action to approve requests to allow Bridge Street History Center request use of the steps on the south entrance to the courthouse on February the 29th, 2020, from 1 p.m. until 4 p.m. for Texas Independence Day celebration. Included would be official proclamations, historic readings, Sons of Texas, Revolution presentation, and music. Mr. Ron Sutton. Who's this gentleman to your right?
Judge and Commissioners, good morning. This is Mr. Dan Vanderberg, and Dan and I both represent the Sons of the Republic of Texas. The local chapter is number 47. Oh,
I'll answer questions when we get
okay, good. Good morning. We've been working with the Historic Granbury Merchants Association and the Bridge Street History Center to put together this celebration. Part of the core purpose of the Sons of the Republic is to sustain and promote history of the Republic, the people that founded it, and the great state of Texas. We feel like that this could be an outstanding event to commemorate. It's going to be historically based, and there will be no carnival atmosphere at all. It's going to be dedicated to promoting the history of the Republic and the great state and the people that founded it. It will only last a couple of hours, and we would like to invite everyone to come join us if we're given permission to do it.
I can't believe that anybody on this Commissioners Court would deny the Sons of the Republic or Texas Independence Day. Nobody up here is going to.
Nobody would do that.
Nobody's going to do that. Not anybody in this room is going to do it. Possible one exception. Chaplain Pruitt, do you have anything to add to this?
I just want to add to the next agenda. I thought I'd step up here about the installation of the flags.
Okay, okay. But, so you only need it for just those few hours there on Saturday, right?
Actually, it will only be about an hour from 2 to 3, but we need a little time to set up and a little time for people to disperse afterwards and tear down. We're just going to add about a few chairs, 20 chairs or so for the elderly or infirm, and the rest of the people will be standing.
As you all know, Texas Independence Day is March 2nd, but our plan is to have it on the Saturday closest to Texas Independence Day so more people can benefit and learn a little bit about Texas history.
I think that's a good plan. Any other discussion here from the commissioners? Okay, any further discussion? Do I hear a motion in this regard?
So moved.
Okay, motion's been made by Commissioner White to allow the Bridge Street History Center to use the steps of the south entrance to the courthouse, the historic courthouse, on Saturday, February the 29th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. for the Texas Independence Day celebration. That's going to include official proclamations, historic readings, the Sons of Texas Revolution presentations, and music. Second by Commissioner Cotton.
Good deal.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Scott and Mr. Vandenberg, be sure to bring your open road hat.
I'll be there.
Okay, good deal. See you there. Okay. All right, now Chaplain Pruitt. Are you here for item number 9? Discuss and take appropriate action to approve request to allow Bridge Street History Center to place 88 Texas flags around the courthouse on or around February the 27th, 2020, to remain through on or about March 23rd, 2020, that is until after General Granberry's birthday celebration. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Chaplain Pruitt.
A little amendment, it's only 47 flags, possibly 45. We spaced them a little different than we have done in the past. I've always installed these flags for 3 different groups. One, the Texas Independence Day celebration, and I'm thankful for the rebirth of this event, and it will be growing. Be ready for next year. It's already getting plans for a growth. Then those flags, the rebar that I put in there that we use at Field of Flags, we will replace those, and Jean Kate will be here to ask for permission for CASA, and we will replace those Texas flags with her CASA flags. And then after that, I'll come back and ask for permission to put my American flags there for Memorial Day weekend, which we look at May as Memorial Month. We have the National Firefighter Appreciation Day on May 4th. We have Police Week at the second week of May, and then we have Memorial Day. And we're lucky enough to still erect Field of Flags every year here in the city, in the county. And we will be asking for us to put those American flags there in May. And as last year, I will leave them up with your approval through the 4th of July. We will be responsible for the flags, to maintain them, to keep them. If they're tethered, we'll replace. So I'm here for this particular one, but I want you to know that I personally will be taking care of the installation of the rebar. Judge Massengale and I talked a little bit. I've already mapped it out. And just looking for that approval to begin that process of those flags around our beautiful county courthouse.
This has been great. We've always done this. I know maintenance director needs to kind of be involved in this to see where all the pipes are and everything. Jay, you aware of this? We've done this in the past.
Yes.
Okay. And I guess you two would be coordinating with each other
Yes.
with the placements.
Yes.
Basically, all I have to do is mark where the sprinkler system.
Yeah. Okay. And it's great. I love the flags.
Good. Again, nobody, if you're only a communist would be against this.
That's
Or
why I said I love it.
Sandinista, or Sandinista. So, do I hear a motion?
Yes, sir. I'd like to make the motion to allow the flags to be put up at the courthouse. You're saying 45 to 47 instead of 88?
Yep.
And you'll be working with our maintenance director.
Yes.
I will make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Commissioner Deaver to allow the flags to be put up in accordance to what Chaplain Pruitt said for the 45 flags, and second by Commissioner Eagle. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Good luck and thank you, Chaplain Pruitt.
Thank you for your time doing this.
Yes. Okay, this brings us to item number 10, authorize county judge to sign proclamations in recognition of John Edward Kimball, John William Smith, and Ken Hendricks. Does anybody wish to speak on this? Do you have those proclamations? Katie has them? Okay. Does anybody want to discuss these gentlemen or know anything about this? Well, I don't actually know who these gentlemen are. Does anybody here? Do you know who they are, sir?
I know Ken Hendricks was a descendant of David Crockett.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, great.
okay, great, great. Okay, Mr. Sutton, do you know anything about this, or Mr. Vandenberg? Okay.
What about JC, you know?
I knew Ken Hendricks, though. He was great-great-grandson
Right.
of David Crockett.
You don't know these other two gentlemen?
No.
Well, does anybody know a reason why I shouldn't sign the proclamations? How about that? I don't want to sign them and then there'd be a traitor to the state of Texas or something, or the guy be from Oklahoma or something. The largest, Oklahoma is the largest county in northern Texas, by the way, in case y'all didn't know.
I've got a little information here, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Says that, well, you know what, I'll just let you have the proclamation. It gives us a little more information that apparently none of us know, so. Must not have been in the Texas history books.
Yes, okay. Well, here's John Kimball Day is the great-grandson of H.S. Kimball and is currently Secretary-Treasurer of the Davy Crockett Chapter of Sons of the Republic in Granbury, Texas. Well, that's good enough for me, okay? All right, and then this is James H. Veal Day. And James H. Veal Gray is the great-great-great-grandson of John W. Smith and is currently historian of the Davy Crockett Chapter of the Sons of the Republic of Texas in Granbury, Texas. We certainly don't have a problem with him, do we? He's got the right pedigree. And then, let me hand that up to him. And then Ken Kendrick is the great-great-great-great-grandson of David and Elizabeth Crockett. Nobody has a problem with that. So based upon who these gentlemen are, do I hear a motion allowing me to sign all these proclamations?
I'll make that motion to allow the judge to sign the recognition of John Edward Kimball, John William Smith, and Ken Hendricks.
Your second.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cotton to sign the said proclamation, second by Commissioner Eagle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, next is item number 11, which is the consider and take appropriate action to allocate up to $5,000 to the Brazos Valley Soil and Water Conservation District for past costs associated with easement enforcement, O&M inspections, maintenance, and land treatment measures for 2 USDA NRSCS flood control dams located in Hood County, that is the Paluxy River WS NRSCS Site 16 and Ruckers Creek WS NRCS Site 1. Commissioner
Your Honor,
Eagle.
I'm sorry for the wordiness of that, the long-windedness of that, but I wanted to get everything in. But Mr. Larry Wilkins is going to give us kind of a rundown of what this is about.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Judge, County Commissioners, thank you for having time for us today. I brought some people with me just in case I do a poor job of answering any questions, but my name's Larry Wilkins. With me is Joe Langdon. We sit on the board of the Brazos Soil and Water Conservation District. In attendance with us is our district technician, Don Nolan, and then we have 2 people from the NRCS, Jason Stigmuller and Avery Smith, that will help us if I do a poor job here. But basically, if you will turn to the Paluxy River package that we have, there should be an overview of the county and these 2 dam sites that were built back in the 70s, late 60s, 70s. We have 2 of them in our county. One is just south of Toller, kind of on the southwest side of the county, and the other is on the opposite end of the county, the northeast side of the county, just west of Highway 167. The 2 sites basically are water structures for flood control. The federal government originally had Congress passed a bill to build these dams for flood control in the counties. They were built, like I said, back in the 60s and 70s. The Paluxy River water site, we included an overhead view of that dam itself. It's a large structure, and basically some pictures that we have. The Brazos Soil and Water Conservation District oversees the dams. We do maintenance such as keeping them in working order, brush, grass trimmed, the overflow valves open and so forth to where they can function properly. The last time we were in front of the Commissioner's Court here was over 10 years ago, but basically we have 2 invoices, one for the Paluxy River watershed site number 16 and one for the Rutgers Creek watershed site number 1. We've had contractors come out. They're going to do some maintenance for us, clean up the facilities as far as mow, grub some of the mesquite and brush. There's an overflow tower that needs to be, some of the debris cleared off. There's pictures on both of them. And then later in the spring as well, we're going to need to reseed and fertilize some of the grass to keep the structures in good condition. The 2 invoices we have come from the same contractor, Double C Dirt Work out of Stephenville. For the Paluxy River side, it's $9,500. For the Rutgers Creek site, it's $9,700. Basically, these funds, there's funds available for from the state that we can access to pay for these repairs, these maintenance costs, but the local county needs to, and along with the residents, will oversee the project, but we have to come up with 10% of the bill. And so I've asked for up to $5,000. Like I mentioned before, it's been over 10 years since we've been in here asking for any type of money. The 10% of these 2 bills is only like $1,920. But as I mentioned, in the spring, we're going to have to do some overseeding on one of the dams. You can see the picture where the road is on it, and then certainly fertilize it on both sides. And so there's going to be some additional costs. That's why I've asked for up to $5,000, which will in essence be the 10% of any cost associated with those dam sites. I guess we're open for any questions.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Well, I'll just comment that if they're coming in here every 10 years for $1,900, we're doing pretty good. And certainly watershed work in the county and flood control is something that we need to be involved with. And so I put this on the agenda at up to $5,000 as Mr. Wilkins asked for, and I found out later that we've got $2,000 already in an account. Is that right, Mr. Lenny? Yes, sir. So what we're going to need to do is just go with up to another $3,000. Is that correct? So we're not even going to be asking for up to $5,000 now because we've already got 2 in an account. Does anybody else have any questions or?
That $2,000's budgeted every year in your budget, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Yeah, he's correct. It's been 10
Right.
plus years since last time.
I mean, you got to protect these dams.
Yes.
I heard that Erath County has 15 dams. Is that right?
Actually, it's 77 dams that they take.
77?
Yes, sir.
Well, we're getting off light, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
I think we should go ahead and make a motion on this pretty quickly right here. Got Jay Webster shaking his head back there with only 2. So I hear a motion in this regard?
Yeah, I guess we have funds to do this.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Eagle has some verbiage
Okay.
to bring to your attention so that we can do this properly. The line item transfer in place today with your approval, and then we can cut that check for next quarter.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll make the motion that to have the auditor process a line item transfer to move $3,000 into dam maintenance from right-of-way materials, increasing the dam maintenance budget to $5,000, and approve paying the $5,000 invoice or the invoice that's due to the Brazos Valley Soil and Water Conservation District of, I guess it's 1,900 and something now, right?
Correct. Right this second, it's
Yeah.
1,900. 10% would be the 1,920. And then, like I said, I'll come back to you in the spring, whether I need to present it here or just come to your office, and we'll have some more invoices as well.
Do I hear a second to this damn motion?
I'll second since one of them's in my precinct.
I knew that was coming.
Okay, motion has been made by Commissioner Eagle, second by Commissioner Deaver to do the line item transfer to add to Mr. Lenny's money so that we can go ahead and get this taken care of. And I certainly appreciate you gentlemen coming down here and ladies bringing this to our attention and getting this done. This is a good deal. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Did we vote on this?
No.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Next is item number 12, authorize the county judge to sign the memorandum of understanding between the city of Fort Worth and Hood County. Sheriff Deeds.
Judge, Commissioners, what this is about is a memorandum of understanding for use for Hood County to be a part of the Fusion Center. Last August, they were approved by the governor of the state of Texas to open up a Fusion Center. There's one that's been there for quite a few years in Collin County that helps kind of North Texas and really hadn't done much for us. Dallas has one, and it's from Dallas and then further south and east. But Fort Worth knew that the west side of the Council of Government region was getting neglected, and they started putting the package together to get it done, and they did get approved last August to put this together. So now they're trying to get more people involved, more agencies involved, and what a Fusion Center is to help us for the future with all the things going on in the state, in the nation, in the world. This will help us stay on top of it as far as law enforcement information. There's no cost to doing this. The only cost that I might incur is they would like to get, because of this memorandum of understanding and us being part of it, I'm going to try to send a couple of investigators up there once or twice a month to learn how to utilize all their systems, all their paperwork, how it all functions and works. And so it'll just take my guys some time to be up there being part of it. It's not going to be a Monday through Friday type thing. It's just when we have some people that we can set some time aside for them to go up there. So they would like a memorandum of understanding signed so we can move forward on this. So it'd be a great thing to get information and keep that flow going to us.
Well, I think it's a good deal. You got to have it. I mean, the better communication you have with everybody, the safer we are going to be. So it doesn't cost anything other than the training. Does anybody else have any comment that they'd like to make?
No, Sheriff come talk to us about this, and it affects things like gangs. Where gangs, are they moving out of the city, moving towards Hood County, and it kind of gives them a kind of a heads up of any kind of issues going on like that. So I think it's a great deal.
Yeah, over the years, a lot of people don't really realize what's going on out there in the world and the county. So I guess I'm doing my job right and correctly. So this will help enhance that, to be able to stay on top of it and stay ahead of the curve and know what's going on and to keep it from bad things from happening in Hood County.
Good. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion for the judge to sign the memorandum of understanding between the city of Fort Worth and Hood County.
Your second.
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Commissioner Cotton, authorizing the county judge to sign the memorandum of understanding between the city of Fort Worth and Hood County. Second by Commissioner White. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sheriff. All right, item number 13. Discuss and take appropriate action regarding the enforcement of the policy for employees using the telepunch system.
Judge, I'm going to have Leanne to come up and kind of tell us what, from her side of the, what's going on with this.
You know I have something to say when I want to speak, because this is not my favorite part.
Okay.
So I gave you each the policy.
Pull your mic in front of you so the people in the back here. There you go. That's good.
I gave you each the policy to read over, which I'm sure you've already done that. I gave you a list, which is the same list that I gave to the paper, of everyone that has access to punch in and punch out on the telepunch. You'll see there that are some that are marked out. They are in the system, but they do not use the system. So back when we had, last year, we had the fire marshal stuff going on. I went into the office, I took everyone out of telepunch that I thought did not belong in telepunch. Then you get a phone call from a department They said, no, this person needs to be in telepunch. You read them the policy, and they insist that this person needs to be put in telepunch. I had a call from another department, and we talked about it, went over the policy, and they had decided, no, their employees do not fit this policy, and IT decided to leave them out. So now we have the new fire marshal appointed, comes to me and says, we need these people in. You know, I want to put them in. You read them the policy. They decide whether or not they fit the policy, put them in. So technically, I'm the Wizard of Oz, and I can click yes or no, whether to put them in. But I can't go through these people on this list and tell you which ones have an office to go to every day, which one go to an office every day. I don't have the ability to do that. And that's what I did want to clarify.
And that's not your job, I mean. it's
Well,
not
in the
your case.
policy, I don't see where it says. I mean, yes, I can click the button. There are 3 other people that are in there as administration, and they can click the button to approve that also. But I don't see where I can make a determination on who's in the office and who's not. Who has we would literally have to go to each place and see. And a lot of people that do have an office still are, they go in and out, you know. So for me, I feel like the department head, you read them the policy, the department head decides on whether this employee fits into whether they fit the policy or not to be put in the system.
I agree with you. Should be up to the department head to know what their employees are. And if they're not doing that, if we find out, then we should either help you out or tell you no. And if they want to make a case that they aren't qualified to use the punch, and we think they're not, they need to come to court and explain why.
I mean, the only other thing I can do is give you a list. You can't physically, you would have to go in every
Yeah, I
single
see
day.
there's over 60 people
Yeah,
that
there's
are on
a
this
ton.
list.
There's a ton. And
Yeah.
of course, there's a lot that I go, I don't know if they belong in here or not. But that's not my decision. It's the department head's decision.
You know, Leanne, I understand that if, I mean, non-exempt are supposed to be clocking in if they're in an office, right?
Non-exempt,
Yeah.
clock using the hand punch.
Yeah.
If they have an office,
Yeah. I
technically,
mean,
yes.
that's what the policy is saying.
That is what it says.
You know, and, you know, I know that there's some people that are using the telepunch, you know, because they may have to go to a meeting and that, but, you know, if you have an office that you're going to 95, 98% of the time, you should be using the hand clock. I mean, if you're...
Well, departments like IT and departments like maintenance, if they get called in, the department head or the supervisor will put in a note, they came in at this time, they left at this time. So they technically don't even have to do a telepunch. Maintenance mostly is the ones that get called in. So, you know, you have to do the notes on them, but they don't apply, the policy does not apply to them, so therefore, they're not in the telepunch.
You know, the policy only applies to deputies, investigators, deputy constables, fire marshal, and other law enforcement personnel. So therefore, it doesn't affect maintenance.
Well, and then down at the bottom, it says the call-in system does not apply to deputies, investigators, deputy constables, fire marshal, or other law enforcement personnel who go into the office daily.
Yeah.
So who goes into the office daily?
You know, I've talked to Drew, and there's some software upgrade that's fixed to come up that it's a new system that uses a GPS, and to where, I mean, if somebody clocks in, you know,
And it's hard on our end to see unless you go into the telepunch every single day, you pull up their last 4 number, you have to look to see, are they clocking in, clocking out, using the telepunch. When you go into the time and attendance system, you cannot see if they're using telepunch or not. So their supervisors don't know if they're clocking in using telepunch or using the hand scan. I mean, if there is a situation, I know you guys are going to want to talk about this more, but if there is something that you want me to, if a department head comes to me and says, I want this person in, I can always, we can bring it to court every single time.
Well, I know the fire marshal is exempt because they're appointed.
And the fire marshal, yes.
Everybody under them is an employee, right? I mean, am I correct, Melissa? So they should be punching in. I mean, yeah.
If they have an office, is what it says. If they go to the office daily, into the office daily.
Well, most everybody, goes to the office daily, or should be. I know there's days that, they may not, they may have to go to a meeting, but, when they have to use the telepunch or whatever, but, it would be up to the supervisor, it's up to the employee to make sure that they're, take care of their business, I think that whatever our policies are, we need to go by them. I mean, I know not
I don't know
everybody-
that it's very clear cut on, it tells you who to put in and who not to put in, but like he said, Commissioner Deaver said, we need to bring it to the court every time we put somebody in the clock.
No, if somebody comes, where I'm going, somebody comes to you and says, no, I don't want it that way. Shouldn't be your call to say yes or no. If they want to make a public forum, say, my people deserve to do this or that, I think they need to get our permission and
But that's what I'm saying.
Not put the
If someone comes to me and says, I want to put these people
Yeah,
in,
you don't think
do
they
I
should.
grill them and say, okay, does this person do this? Does this person do that? No, I read them the policy.
Yes.
And they tell me they apply to it and I put them in.
They need to come to court if they got a problem with it.
Yeah, because it is.
Your job to be the time card policeman.
Right. And I'm sure I could be.
It's that important for them to do it. Like you said, it is policy.
Right.
There's got to be a fair and accountable way of taking this time, some way. I mean,
To me,
I mean,
that
if-
blame, the administrators or whoever's over these guys, if they do happen to get a certain call out before they come to office, they take care of it.
Right.
Sounds like to me, people are getting lazy. I'm sorry, but that's the way it sounds.
I'm going to jump in here real quick. As
Help us out.
Commissioner White has stated. So there is a newer system that is out there right now. And I have, of course, looked into upgrading this year to this newer system. This seems to be a topic of much debate elsewhere. It's not just here. And the reason for that is because one of the bigger selling points is for the punch-out system, it takes your GPS coordinates. So you can see where that person clocks in and out at. And you can actually see it on a map. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Can you convert that to dollars?
To upgrade? I believe it's actually cheaper, but I believe it's going to be roughly about $12,000 or so to put the new system in place. Like I said, once all these other projects that I have kind of die down, we were going to look to upgrade. So it is on our, scope to do this year. It's just it hasn't came up yet. I just wanted to throw that out there just for the fact that, like I said, it seems to be an issue everywhere, not just here, as far as some people trying to do that. And at least at that moment, you could hold that individual or department head accountable because you have now GPS coordinates where that individual clocks in from their
But if they're
phone.
supposed to be going to the office daily, they really shouldn't be in telepunch.
Well, it's too bad, I guess. I don't want to say it's too bad, but you are the point of contact. We don't have any other communication with these 60 or 70. I don't think anybody on the court ever seen these names of all the people doing this. So I don't know how to police it.
Well, majority of these were already in the system.
Been in there forever.
Yes.
And maybe before the policy was
And I'm going to
made.
say like 89% of them clock in and clock out with the
With a
with the
telepunch.
telepunch.
And do you think, from what you know, I don't know any of these people, whether or not they're in violation of the policy?
Not my department. It's not my department, so I don't know if they have an office that they go into daily.
Well, I would think if they're going to an office, or they have an office, more often than not, they should be coming in daily, and that's when they should be clocking in. If they don't come,
Issues, who's policing it? Who is policing it?
I guess it's a supervisor.
And if they come to you again and insist that you be in there, just tell them to come to the county judge.
Well, I felt no pressure to put anyone in the clock.
All right.
I read them the policy, and they tell me whether that employee fits that policy, and I put them in there.
Very good.
Nothing else but to trust the elected official or the appointed official or the department head. There's no other way that I know how to do it unless I physically go to that office and make sure that they have an office that they go into daily.
And of course, there are some employees here that go directly, that are on call 24/7. And they may have been called out at 2 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning and are still out on the business, or go straight from their home to a school or to a meeting that's in another city or another town or another place. And I guess that can be handled between the employee and the supervisor then. I mean, the whole policy, I'm assuming the greater good, is to make sure that people are actually working.
Right.
Isn't that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Make sure that they're there and that they're putting in a 40-hour week, I guess, is what we're concerned about. That's why somebody that's an elected or appointed official, it doesn't make any difference whether they're working 40 hours or 80 hours. They're getting paid the same. They don't have comp time or overtime. Am I correct?
Right. Well, whatever you guys decide, I mean, if we want to, every time someone brings it to court, or every time someone asks me to put them in, because, I mean, you hear all the time, it's an elected official, they get to do what they want. They don't have to go by policy. Well, I mean, so do I only do it for appointed official every time that they come and ask me to put people on the clock?
Like you said, that's not your job.
Right.
I don't feel like it is, but.
No, it's not. It's not. I think we'll all agree that that's not your job.
But I, like you, want it to be taken care of. Definitely don't want to see my name in the paper. Definitely don't want to see that.
Yeah.
She's back there, too.
I know.
Well, see, it's like my
Did Hood
staff
County
person.
News hear that? She didn't want her name in the paper? Remember that.
Yeah, like my two staff persons, I don't have any problem with them, but they scan in every day and scan out every afternoon. I mean, they have an office and they come in and go into the office daily. There's going to be some employees in the counties, whether it's with the fire marshal's department or deputies or somebody else at some other deal, I don't know who it could be, that will go to an emergency that they're going to.
Even if you were to work at an odd time and you weren't able to clock in and out, then you can always tell your supervisor, and the supervisor can tell us or put a note in the system, and we put in their time.
Is that what you're doing, Drew, right now?
I don't think we've had anybody with a call-in.
If you get called in.
So currently, since, what happened, we've been taken out of the Telepun system. So right now, as I know, if one of my staff members gets called out, they just add it. We have an office calendar that we all share, and they put it on the calendar. Not that I don't trust them at all, or trust them, whatever the case may be. In the past, when we had access to the Telepun system, I used that as a verification tool. Because of course, because anyone can just put whatever, they say on the calendar, but at least when you actually punch in and out on your phone, it shows up on their time card, punched in, punched out. And so I just used it to verify. Now, of course, now that we're off the system, I have no verification. But that's just me. Again, I'm weird. So hopefully that answers
I
your
wonder if any of the
question.
department heads would like to come up and talk about it and see what their feelings are, the ones.
Yeah, Jade, would you like to come up and discuss?
Any one of the department heads discuss on maybe how this
Yeah,
thing
or-
can work?
yeah, Jade,
why it
would
doesn't
you
work?
like to? This one. Or Jeff and you?
Jeff?
Judge, Commissioners, I seem to be the kind of point of this whole conversation in the first place, so I'll go ahead and start. So my department, if I'm asked to update times when they're called to respond, that could be 3 to 5 days a week that I'm having to go in and put times in for somebody that got called in at 3 o'clock in the morning or went directly to a meeting or had to work after hours for whatever reason. This kind of goes along with the take-home vehicles. There's no point in having a take-home vehicle if they've got to go to the office to clock in before they go to a scene. So kind of my opinion is, as a department head and a supervisor, would it not be my responsibility to verify the time of my employees regardless of how they clock in?
It is.
And that's the way I would understand it. So if myself, it's hard for me to violate the time card policy being how I'm not required to punch in, but my employees, if they're not coming to work when they punch in and they're absent, I would expect, it would be my position to deal with that and take care of that. And I would also expect that if I wasn't dealing with that and taking care of that, I would have to answer to each of you for that very thing.
The question is, do you have any employees that fit in this policy, that fit in the policy that says they cannot telepunch, that are telepunching?
I do have well, actually, I don't have any employees right now, but if you define it as an employee that comes into the office daily.
That's what it says.
Most times they do come in daily, but sometimes they come in or go directly to a scene from their house.
When that
to the
happens,
scene.
is there any other way to take care of that time other than telepunch?
They would then have to write the time down, come down and tell me or the office admin. They would have to open the time program, put in the adjusted time with the notice to why they showed up early or why they went out late or whichever. But yes, there is options. We could, the supervisor could be going through and verifying and looking at that time every day and making the adjustments. Or they could use their phone to telepunch when they're actually going on duty and when they
I
get
guess
off
what I'm
duty.
trying to understand, is that an exception or is that the rule that happens with these employees? That,
Most times it's the exception.
yeah, so how big of a problem is it?
I didn't see it as a problem, and to be honest with you, this has been to court about every 2 years for the last 10, or has been an issue at some point or another over the last 10 years that I've been here. It seems like every time the court turns over and somebody says something about telepunch, it's viewed as a violation of the policy. And then when we come and explain, well, this is why they use telepunch, it's like, okay, well, that makes sense. And then, so every 2 years or so, we're having to come and ask for an exception to the policy rather than adjusting the policy to the people that it applies to. Because this basically is all of the deputies, this is the investigators and CID, this is the fire marshal's office. So it names out all of the people that can use telepunch and then basically outlines, well, all these people can't use it, but they're the ones that are the ones that are getting called in after hours and while they're off duty.
So the emergency management coordinator is not under you in your office?
At the moment, he is, with the idea that come September,
Well,
October,
if-
that he's going to
but
be an
I'm-
office of his own, and it won't even apply to him
But I
either.
mean, yeah, but right now, he's an employee under you, right?
Correct.
So the way I read it, he should be talking. I mean,
If we were to
he
follow
should be
the
clocking.
letter of the policy the way it's written, yes, he should have to come to the office and clock in every time. Or when he goes directly from his location to meetings in Arlington, which there are a lot of meetings at the COG and the RAC and everything else, that as an emergency manager, it is good for him to be there. He would then have to call me or send me a text or come down and write his times down and say, okay, on this day I started at this time because I went to this meeting. At this day I started at this time and went to and he's so busy right now that about 3 to 5 days a week I would be having to go in and make exceptions to the time policy and put his times in there with a note to the timekeeping people as to why he clocked in at 7:30 from his, or had a missed punch, basically is what it would be. Because if he went from his house directly to that meeting, he would have a missed punch because he wouldn't drive all the way here to clock in on the hand thing to run a drive all the way back to Arlington to go to this meeting.
it gets even more better than that. The second week on the job, when we had the ice storms possibly coming, I was up at 3 a.m. on an hour-long conference call from my living room, taking care of information that I had to feed the judge that morning. And then we were back up at 7 a.m. So from 7 p.m., I was the night before, I'm on a conference call, getting information in, and I'm calling him with that information. And I'm back up at 3:30 on another conference call, getting information from him, and back up at 7 a.m. to get so in a 24-hour period, I would have been clocking in and out 8 times. So I've either got to ask him or Catherine to go in and do that, or everybody's going to be wanting to know why I'm punching in and out, or I'm not punching in and out. I'm kind of like the oddball right now until October because, yeah, he's approving my time, but yet I answer to all of you guys for what's going on. And so I'm trying to use the time clock as best I can within what the policy or what everybody wants. But as y'all saw on my calendar, about 60% of the time I'm here, and the other 40%, it could be wherever. And so that you know I'm punching in as soon as I go to wherever I'm supposed to be going, I've been using the phone so that you know I left my house at 7:30 to head to the meeting to be there at 8 o'clock. I don't punch in until I get to this county. And when I get to the county line, I was punching in until the judge asked me not to. So then I get to the office and I use the hand thing. So, but I don't want to get into the bind because I'm having to clock in and out or however my time, or just not claiming the time because I'm taking care of county business, but I'm doing it from my living room because of just the circumstances.
Like I said, this is going to be taken care of in September. I mean, Somerville County, Johnson County, CG, Montemor, everybody's been telling me since I've taken this office, and I know myself personally, I get so much correspondence every month about emergency management coordinator that if I studied for the next 3 years, there is no way that I could come close to having the background and information that Jay Webster has. I mean, his nickname is Captain Disaster. I mean, this guy's worked so many hurricanes, floods, with every start. I gave each one, I asked Jay to come up and give me a list of all the emergencies that he's worked. And I caught a little grief from it down at the Petroleum Club. Y'all all know that Granbury has a Petroleum Club. It's that Shell station down at 51 and 567 where you meet on every morning if you want to get the deal. And he says, well, you know, what's going on with this? And I said, we got to have an emergency management coordinator. And the guy that I wanted to get when I heard that he was available is Jay Webster, because I've known him for 20 years from coming out to the ranch and how he's interacted with the sheriff's department, the police department. And by the way, it's a good thing you came today, Chris Kaufman. We had a meeting, this would be 3 weeks this Wednesday, when Jay Webster spoke at the deal, acquainting everybody in the emergency management office. There was somebody there from the Red Cross and from the medical industry. And when Jay got through talking, they all came up to me and says, how in the world did you get Jay Webster? And one guy, the Red Cross guy, I forgot what his name is. What is his name? Larry Warburn. He says, I bet you I've worked 30 disasters with this guy, and I'm so glad that he's going to be here with you. Then Chris Kaufman came up to me and said, the only reason you got him, Judge, is because he retired from DPS as a captain. So we're all talking, and I really want this guy to bring us into the 21st century with the emergency management office. God, it's so much paperwork. The FEMA requirements that we have. I mean, we're really behind in that department. And Jay is the one that's going to be able to bring us up to date with that. And he works well with Jeff. He works well with the sheriff. He works well with everybody. And he can pick up a phone and call and get things done. Some people told me, said, well, if there's a nuclear disaster, none of us will have to worry about it. Well, that's not really true at all. They've got so many firewalls in there that it may be evacuations. at different things. And Chris Kaufman is up there shaking his hand, and that's right, and we work on those. But then again, if there's an ice storm and there's a certain degree, it comes to a judgment call. And who better than somebody that's worked the highways around here is that can we safely move the people in Hood County out during an ice storm versus what containment is going on at the nuclear plant at that time? I mean, I don't think that I'm equipped to make that call, but I'd sure like to rely on Jay Webster if he says that, and he can pick up a telephone and call everybody and get help with everybody. This is a tremendous, tremendous opportunity for this county to have somebody in that office. And I think that working with Jeff, working with the sheriff, working with the police department, working with the city, we're going to be able to protect the citizens of Hood County to the best of our ability. And I have no question that he wakes me up all the time so that he's doing his job and he is working. So if the policy is he really working? I bet you he puts in a lot more hours than 40 hours a week, because the way he's establishing the whole office. And like he says, and when he gets ready to really retire, he'll have an office where somebody can come in there that's already up and going. And we all want to work together, and it's the safety. That's our number one issue, I think, here.
And Judge, I think if you were to ever truly find out how many hours that somebody is committed to public safety, truly put in on a regular basis, you would find that there's many, 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 many times that we donate a lot of time to the job. There's countless hours that I spend on weekends, even though, yes, I have another job, answering phone calls and mail and talking to fire departments about issues and dealing with that while I'm not even here, that I don't clock in and clock out for. It's just part of what we do.
Okay. Well,
and if I can't trust him to clock in with his telepunch, how can I trust him to protect the public?
You know, I know that this is the first time I've been able to meet Mr. Webster, and I don't doubt his credentials. I mean, they speak for themselves. They're great. You know, it's just, this was about, you know, the automated time system, how we're clocking in and out. You know,
Correct.
It's not an attack on you or him.
I understand.
Or anybody, you know, it's just evolved, and we're trying to get everybody on the same page, everybody marching in the same direction.
And Commissioner, that's all I'm asking, I guess, for y'all, for me, until we get me figured out, is what do y'all want me to do? You know, so that me and Jeff are on the same page as to how you want my time handled, or how do you want it entered into the system until we get where we get?
Well, I think the way we discussed it, I mean, he has an office, but a lot of times he doesn't come into the office. There's some people here that have their own offices, they expect to be there today.
Becky Kidd wasn't at her office. She's not going to be able to fool me. I'd like to know where she is, because she's got an office. That's right. You don't clock in or clock out anyway. You telling me we trust you? Okay. All right, well, here's the deal. I think that,
go ahead, sorry, Judge.
You know, in September, we're going to work this out anyway, I think.
Correct.
I think everybody kind of agrees. We haven't taken a vote yet, but we're going to have an office, an emergency management coordinator, and an office.
Well, and that would take care of Jay right now. That would still leave the issue of when I do have a deputy, if they get called out in the middle of the night, how do you want me to deal with that? Do you want me to have him write down the times? Do I take the times out of Spillman and put that as his clock in, clock out time?
All I can say is we want you to follow the policy.
Right?
And if that person has an office that they check into every day, the policy says you will hand punch in. That's all.
So if he doesn't check into the office every day,
and if we don't do that, then we need to change the policy.
Right.
I mean, you know, we've got a policy, so do we, you know, I haven't heard yet from the sheriff or Jay or any of the rest of the departments. We're kind of picking on you because you stirred it up.
I know. I was
but that's okay.
the whole
But
issue.
I'm just looking for the answer. I'm just looking for the answer and how do we handle it? Because the public thinks that we're going willy-nilly and doing what we want to against the policy.
I understand. And
So that's all
what
I'm trying to
was-
get-
And I
trying to
haven't
get
had the time to get to y'all's office yet, but what I was going to ask for was a change to the policy.
Well,
To actually allow the telepunch system to be used for those employees that are called out after hours when they're not on duty on a regular scheduled shift. Whether or not they have a desk sitting in an office or not. If they are expected to perform their duties outside of normal scheduled hours, would it not be the responsibility of that supervisor to make sure that if he clocks in at 2 o'clock in the morning, there dang well better be a call that he went to at 2 o'clock in the morning or a reason for that?
Do you see yourself, Jay, as being subject to, are you on 24/7 call?
I'm at your beck and call all the time, yes, sir, any of y'all.
I know we practice the power plant blowing up on Wednesdays at 8 o'clock in the morning, but it's realistically probably not going to happen at a Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock. You can't plan disasters. It doesn't work that way, or emergencies in general.
Or a wildfire?
Or a wildfire.
Or a
a
flood?
Or
Or a hurricane?
Right.
No, not a hurricane, tornado.
We could get heavy rainfall from a hurricane, though.
So I'll make
We have
it easy for me, Judge, just so I can get clarification from the Commissioners Court, so me and Jeff know what y'all want me to do. Is how do you want me to handle my time with everything that goes on a daily basis just for me, on the calls that I'm having to deal with, from not only dealing with the coronavirus. Those calls have started to ramp up because the state's starting to do some things that they haven't been, so I'm not sure what's going on. I'll get you briefed on that after the call today, but we're on once a week with the CDC. You know, got spring storms coming up, and so when the spring storms start coming up, and that's going to be before October, I'm going to be on conference calls at least 3 to 4 times a day, and some of those are even at night. So I just how do you want me to handle clocking in and out? Do you want me to write it down and have Jeff or Catherine enter it, or you want me using my phone? That's all I'm at. I'll take care of me, and then I'll let y'all worry about everything else later.
I guess if you come in, if you don't have anything going on, and you come in, you clock in.
That's what I've been doing for your request.
That's what you've been doing?
Yes, sir.
And if you have something going on where you're taking phone calls, or you're in a meeting in Arlington, or you're going to the nuclear plant, or you're doing something else, you are making notes of that? Is that how you do it?
No, based on mine and your conversation, what I understood was that was when you wanted me to use the telephone punch, was to use the telepunch when I was leaving my house to go to the meetings that are in the Metroplex or somewhere else. But if I was coming to the office that day, to use the hand punch, which Drew has finally gotten that worked out, and that's what I've been doing, per our conversation that me and you had. It's just I wasn't doing the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning ones. So I kind of put that in my back pocket for later, so.
The policy says coming in the office daily. Are you coming into the office daily? Not every day, right?
No, I do not.
And I had this, I think a lot when I get home. Cows don't talk back to me.
I understand.
They listen to me. And I had this thought, and I said I wasn't going to bring it up, but we're bouncing around all over this place. Yeah, we're getting beat up on some of the things we do with our policies, but every department is not the same. There's no department the same. Don's department, his foremans usually go out and check an issue, then he'll go to the office and tell the guys to come in and clock in. Is that correct, Don? But every department's not the same. Fire marshal's department is different, but the policy says here, and I don't want to get beat up again about changing a policy, but sometimes you have to make it work. And that's what I did today on the other policy. And I got beat up on it, but I try to do things what's best for the county, not what's best for me, not what's best for you. I try to do what's best for the county. You're going to get beat up no matter what you do.
Correct.
And that's part of it. But this thing here, I had the thought, well, what's the difference if he's clocking in when he comes to the office, and if he gets called out or he has to go to COG? And I know Fire Marshal goes to COG a lot. I know they do. And I know you live in the Metroplex, so why would he come down here, clock in, and turn right back around and go to COG? There's exceptions for everything, guys. And whatever we do, this group ain't gonna like it. Well, you're showing favoritism, but we got to do what's right for the county. And I have no problem if this guy is not coming to his office, and you're going to work for us, and I'm going to be watching. I'm a watchdog, and I'm going to watch you, and you know what I do.
Thank you.
If you're breaking policy, I'm going to get after you.
I expect to be called out on the
Yeah,
carpet if I do.
But there's exceptions to everything, guys, and y'all do what you want to, but I have no problem. This guy here is trying to, and this guy here is good. I mean, I've heard lots of things about him. I'm not doing this because he's good. I'm doing this for the county. If he's not coming in every day and he gets called out, what is wrong with him punching in? Well, one person said, well, that's his supervisor's responsibility. But I don't know, guy. We can beat this dead dog down the road all day long.
And then 2 years from now, we'll do it again.
Yeah, and yeah, you're going to have 2 new court members next election, and they're going to say the same thing. Why is this going on? But I don't know. I mean,
Well, right now,
it says daily in the
yeah,
policy.
daily. I would think, when you do come in, or whoever it is, not just you, anybody that comes in, if you come in the office and clock in.
That's what he's doing, I think. Yeah.
That's everybody.
But if you get called, I mean, if you got a meeting and called tomorrow, they don't need to come in here and clock in. Either you maintain it, you call him, tell him, or you punch in.
It's on the calendar. I usually know where he's
Same thing.
at.
I mean, I don't care either way. I mean, you're going to rely on him for him giving you the right information, and if he telepunches in, you're still going to rely on him to telepunch in at the right time. Now,
Correct.
hitting the county line, no. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in getting paid for coming in to work. I do not like it, and I think we corrected that, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so, I don't know, guys.
So, I mean, right now, the policy says one thing, so you'd have to change the policy, right?
And you
I don't know,
have
it
to.
says daily. I mean,
You
what
have
is
to make
daily?
an,
to the office
the
daily, and he doesn't
future
go into
deputy fire marshal, are we going to allow them to be in there also? I mean, you are going to have to word it in a way that, we know who is in there and who's not. Because we don't have a deputy fire marshal right now, and I don't believe that it's the emergency management director that flagged the paper. It was the deputy fire marshal, correct?
It was probably really more directed more at me, but yes, it also applies to the deputy fire marshal.
Yeah. But I don't believe a person be clocking in when he's driving to work. And I think we've corrected that.
But if they get called to
But if you're coming to your office, you shouldn't be punching in. You should be clocking in by the hand scanner.
and if they get called to an emergency at 3 o'clock in the morning, they can telepunch in?
Sure. Why? Why would you, I have no problem with that.
And I guess it would be, really, I guess, Jeff, it'd be your hide that's on the line if there's some stuff.
I would expect nothing less. Because technically, my guys are expected, whatever their schedule is, Monday through Thursday, Tuesday through Friday, they are scheduled to come to the office every day. But that doesn't mean that's the only time they're going to come out.
Same way, investigators or patrol deputies, same thing.
Correct.
They may-
Or road ops, or
Or road
IT, or anybody that's subject to be called in outside of scheduled hours.
But road ops handles it where they don't punch in. There's two different animals there as far as,
Well, so even with road ops, if Don has to call his guys in at 11:30 at night because a bridge collapsed, I know he's not going to expect them to work for free.
Yeah.
Now, they don't have access to telepunch, but Don or his
Don
office
keeps
is
up
going to
with
go in there and adjust their time to show the
Yes.
hours that they started and stopped.
yes,
And we have that option.
yeah.
We could do the same thing, but what is the difference between me taking a phone call from somebody saying, hey, I went to work at 2 o'clock in the morning, and me going in and physically putting it in there, or me looking at his telepunch saying, okay, you punched in at 2, I see that there was a call.
Yeah, this thing was put in for a reason. I don't know why. There's some cheaters out there cheating going on. This was put in there for a reason. But I don't think a guy, and I'll repeat this 100 times, he shouldn't be punching in if he's driving to the office
Right.
and getting 15, 30,
Paying for
45
windshield
minutes
time.
comp time. If he's coming to the office, he needs to use that hand scanner.
But the way I read this policy, anybody that becomes a deputy under you will have to clock in with your hand, right?
Okay, right. So is there an exception to that when he gets called up in the middle of the night, though, is what I'm asking?
Yeah, you can go to you can update the timesheet.
So I
Make a note on the timesheet.
update it manually and not have access to telepunch for the deputy.
Right now, to
Right
stay
now,
with the
that's what
policy, you'd have to,
says.
Okay,
to stay with the policy, unless we change it.
okay.
Who goes into the office daily? There's going to be that daily time if he goes out at 3 o'clock in the morning to investigate a fire or brush fire or building fire or
mitigate
something,
whatever
he's not
emergency
going to be
we
in the
come to.
office daily,
Correct.
that daily. He's going to have to do it remotely, but we're going to have a record showing where he was.
Correct.
That he was actually working. It's just the same way that Don Lenny does it for his guys. It's the same thing. The whole problem is to make sure that they're working.
It's kind of like
I don't
Drew
think
said
we
a
have
while
to
ago,
change
he
it.
likes it where it's on paper when that guy punched in. So, pick your poison. I mean.
So we're leaving it up to the, right now, we're leaving it up to the supervisor to be responsible for what people do. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. If he's out, we're going to know about it. You're going to know if Jay's working, if he's at COG or North Texas or Abilene or wherever he is.
Or responding to a
FEMA,
disaster,
Or at
'cause-
the nuclear plant, you're going to know where he is.
Correct.
The question is that he doesn't go into his office daily. If there's an emergency that's called him out, he's subject to 24/7.
Correct.
Work on Sunday morning, Saturday night, he may have to be there.
And most of us in this business are subjected to 24/7.
That's right. That's right.
But our policy doesn't say that.
I know, if we're going to do it this way, we got to change the policy. If we're going to do it.
I mean,
Well, not if you interpret it the way the judge says. He doesn't go in every day because he
Well,
does these other
that's what I
things.
said.
So
Let me
so
tell
he
you this.
doesn't fit in this.
Legally speaking, this would be vague and indefinite and struck down anyway. But it says personnel who go into the office daily. The example that I use is that my two staff persons go into the office daily. I don't want them working from home. Don't want them doing anything. There's no emergency for them. They got to be in my office, and there's a hand scan, and they both check, scan in and scan out. That's
Correct.
it. But
And I-
they're not on call 24/7
And we basically have
either.
two offices. One of them has wheels on it, and the other one's in a building, so.
That's right. But
Anyway.
here it says who go into the office daily. His job requirement does not require him to go into the office daily. There may be a flood situation or a tornado situation that he didn't go into his office for a week.
It's
Is
all
that
in-
possible?
It's all in how you articulate it. You
It's
can put a
just
spin
how
on that
you
policy
interpret-
either way, depending on which argument you choose.
About how you interpret who go into the office daily.
Exactly. So I've utilized a lot of your time. I'm going to let the other department heads come up
Okay.
and give their part.
Personally,
I just want to clarify something. I am exempt, but I clock in the morning so you guys know I'm here. That's a me thing. Nobody asked me to do it, but I don't want there to ever be a question on when I'm here. And I'm rarely here. Wait a minute, I'm going to screw this up.
and you're rarely.
I'm rarely here.
I'm trying to get you all day yesterday, and you never came into your office. So.
What I'm trying to say is I rarely clock in after 7 a.m. I'm here early so I can get work done. I just want to make that clear.
Sheriff, you got anything to say about this?
Well, back in the day when I was a deputy, we were told to work an 8-hour shift, 10-hour shift, 12-hour shift, and everybody gave way more than that. We wrote it down on paper of 12 hours, and that's what we got. But we gave a whole lot more to the county. When this time clock came into existence, then it made more comp time because we were, got to go clock in and, got to go get this done. And then, like Jeff has already stated about the on-call stuff, every one of my deputies and investigators is on call. So for anything that happens, any disaster, any crime that's committed, anything that, we have, they're all expected to be on call. So I know there's been a lot of focus on the fire marshal's office. So is this going to, well, you guys are in charge. Whatever you tell us to do, we'll do. But, I think with the law enforcement, which Jay is law enforcement, Jeff is law enforcement, fire marshal's office is in general law enforcement except for the admin assistant. So do you guys trust us to do our job or not? That's kind of the way I'm thinking is, somebody doesn't trust us, whether it's the paper just trying to stir up stuff, I don't know, but we got a job to do and we're going to do it. And it's up to the supervisors to make sure that gets done right and get people there to the disaster, the crime, the whatever on time and get them done so we don't add any extra comp time or make sure it gets done. So the policy needs to be modified however you guys see fit, or it will waste some more time and everybody can come and do the hand punch and clock in and take up a bunch more time for getting that done. So we'll do whatever the court wants us to do, but there needs to be some leeway. It's been rocking along for a lot of years like that since the telepunch came into being. I don't feel that any of my people have ever done anything wrong with it or fudged on anything, so we stay up on that. Deputies got to come in and get their vehicles because we don't have take-home vehicles for those guys, patrol. But then the investigators, if we need them out on a crime scene in the middle of the night, they come running. So to save time, they come straight to the scene. So I wish and I hope that that can stay that way. But I guess final decision is up to you guys. So just let me know what you want to do and how you want to do it.
Roger, I don't think this is about accusing anybody of doing anything wrong or fudging it. We're just trying to figure out what this policy says, because you can read it two different ways.
You can. It can be read. I agree with you. Here's my deal. We've already said, if he's not punching in at 8 o'clock or whatever, hand scanning in, he should have a reason why he's not. And what he said is, he's got a reason. He's at COG, he's at an emergency, he's at the nuclear plant or something like that, and he can account for his time. He's not coming in the office on a daily basis that day. So you're going to have to account for it. But if he's not hand scanning in and he can't say that he's on county business someplace, he's got a problem. You know, but if he's dealing with that coronavirus or flood or fire or whatever, the nuclear plant or whatever, then he should be in the office. But if he's not, he's going to be able to count for his time.
Majority of the people that are in the telepunch, from what I just pulled, clock in and clock out.
Yeah.
Using the telepunch. I don't know if they're being called out or not, or if they're working later somewhere else. So
Well, most employees, I don't think, are on 24/7 call either. I know maintenance may be, you know, but Jay?
I think I can clear that up a little bit where it's a little bit easier to understand. The guys that I have working for me work in the buildings, okay? So when they get called out, my employees can clock in any single building because they are on company property. So they'll clock in, clock out. We don't use that system because we don't need to use that system. Everywhere we go, we can clock in and clock out. We're not working out of the offices, out of the buildings.
Every department's different.
Yeah. Every department's different, like you said.
So that's
I would think that people that are coming and doing administrative jobs or something, I mean, if you come to that office and you're not going nowhere else, you need to be clocking in with your hand.
I agree with that.
I agree.
I mean, that's just a given.
Yeah. And if you're not clocking in,
got a
you're out
problem.
someplace well, unless you can show that you're out on the deal, but you got a problem if you can't prove, how about proving, using that word, proving that you're at the nuclear plant or at COG or at some other place. I think that's what you're going to be able to say. Miss Berry, do you going to have something to this pie
I
here?
just want to share just one thing. At all times, there's a juvenile probation officer on call, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they may get 5 to 6 calls a night or over a weekend, and that call could last, because most of the time they're doing it from their home or wherever they're at. It's over the phone work. It could last anywhere from 5 minutes to an hour and a half, and then that call ends, and they document it. Okay, and so then the next one may come. And so, there may be 5 or 6 times during a weekend that on Monday morning we have to go in and we have to edit the time. But that's what we do. We don't do any telepunch whatsoever. So, right. So, but they do have this.
they could be, if she chooses.
You're taking care of their time when they tell you what they're working.
Yes.
They tell you what they're doing.
Right, and you can see it in police reports. It's pretty obvious, but
Yeah.
nonetheless. So, thanks.
Go Crusaders.
Yes, sir.
I think it works the way it is. Because of that, that go into the office on a daily basis is not required. Some people are not required to go into their office on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And if you're not, you got to show us, if it comes up, where you been.
If you're not going into the office daily, you can use the telepunch.
That's right.
Well, here's another fine tuning to this thing, Judge. Even though you got access to telepunching, just don't use it. If you're going in that office, clock in.
Right, exactly.
But some of them probably are using telepunching because they don't have to go clock in. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It needs to be somewhere where you guys that are supervising these people, if you're going in the office, use your hand scanner. If you get called out, use the telepunch. Simple. I mean, it's simple.
Good.
I mean, that's
Supervisors
what it
need to
looks like
enforce
the
that.
system's designed for. You're called out, you telepunch.
Yeah.
Any other time, you punch in.
Punch in. I agree.
Supervisors need to enforce that. We can't, but they can.
I hear a motion.
Look at me.
Do I hear a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion, we quit talking about it.
I second
I
that.
second that motion.
Tony Mobley is up there waiting, chomping at the bit, so is Chris Kaufman, and there's one other guy that needs to talk. We're pulling item 14, so on item 13 here, discuss and take appropriate action regarding the enforcement of the policy. I think we've discussed it enough that we understand what we expect, and the policy as written will do that.
And if a department head says, these people need to be in the telepunch, it's on the department head to know that the policy applies to that employee.
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly.
And not on the county treasurer. Certainly
We
not
agree
on
with
the
that.
county judge.
Say that again?
Okay, no, we got it. Okay.
Just offhand, I'd like to, IT, couldn't you have a scheduling system so if a person is not punched in, signed in at the office, that they electronically list where they've gone, and then there's a record? That'd be a responsibility, and IT keep track of it. Then if you ever need to.
We got trackers for cars.
Dr. Grant, were you present here when he just asked for $755,000, or were you not?
And that is, so to answer your question, and that is with the new system. So if an individual, regardless, punches in, you get a GPS coordinate of where they punched in and out at. So if they're doing it from, Oklahoma, you'll be able to see it.
And that'll be come September, November or something.
Sometime this year when there's not a lot of projects. I apologize.
Oh, we're going to have it take care of itself then, when you get that.
So
Okay,
I'll eventually take care of it.
okay. Thank you, thank you.
I don't think we needed a motion.
Yeah, just for discussion.
I think we're done with the discussion. We think we know what we're doing.
Okay, I think we know what we're doing. Okay. All right, we're going to move on now. Item number 14 was pulled, am I correct on that? Is that correct? Okay, so now we've got number 15. Consider and take appropriate action regarding approval of a resolution supporting a housing tax credit application for Meander Park LP, a proposed affordable housing project to be located at Meander Road south of North Fork Court, Granbury, Texas. We got the first one to sign the public participation form was Mr. Tony Mobley. Mr. Mobley, the floor is yours. Boy, get that running.
I appreciate your earlier attempts at humor at this dais. Tony Mobley, I'm a city council in Granbury. I just wanted to make myself available to answer any questions and concerns. We started working with the Reyes Group several years ago in anticipation of some of these projects, and we had some of the same questions you guys probably have right now. So I just wanted to make myself available. But I'd like to point out in our community, everybody knows about the neighborhoods with the walls and those type of things. But if you look at the industry here, it is primarily retail. My wife is in charge of human resources at HEB, and she will tell you, if she could be here, that the folks that work here, many of them cannot afford to live here. Now, this proposed project is not Section 8 housing, or what somebody said back in the back when I walked in, Section 88 housing. I don't know what that is, but it's not Section 8. It's affordable living, and it's not, these are not the projects they stick over here in the corner and hope law enforcement can just put razor wire around it and control it. It is nothing like this. It's a forward-thinking project. We've got groundbreaking, and they're doing dirt work right now on one of the projects. But again, we're fighting the image that this is low-income housing, and it is not. It is not. It's not where everybody fits into that category. There are several of these units. In fact, half of them will be full rental prices. And these are not, when you drive by these, you're not going to say, oh, that's what that is. Because if you look at the history of multifamily dwellings in this community, the bar has become much higher recently with some of the projects coming in. And this exceeds that expectation as well. So that's all I wanted to do, is make myself available to answer some of these questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next that's on this here is Mr. Chris Kaufman. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. Thank y'all. We do have our consultant that's been working that signed up to speak. Could we let him go before me? Would that be acceptable?
Sure,
Okay.
that's fine.
Ramon, would you introduce yourself?
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. My name is Ramon Guajardo. I am with Ramel Company Consultant, hired by the City of Granbury. I am representing this development on behalf of City of Granbury and the Granbury Housing Authority, as well as the Granbury Housing Authority's development partner. This particular development is going to be, like you said, the location on Meander Road, just south of North Fork Road. It is going to be comprised of a 2-story apartment building. It'll be a mix of 2 and 3 bedrooms. It will serve families. It was a total of 48 units. 24 of them are 2 bedrooms, 24 of them are 3 bedrooms. Like Mr. Modley said, there is a mix of income styles. There is some market rate, and there are some that are on some reduced rents in order to tier down to their income level. Again, it is not Section 8. It is not public housing. It is not government assisted. Willing to answer any questions that you all may have.
How do they get the housing tax credit then? Why do you get that?
So you submit, our development partner and the Granbury Housing Authority submits an application to the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, referred to as TDHCA, and through an award process or evaluation process, the state awards 1 project per region. Well, in this region, Region 3 rural, only 1 will be awarded. So even though that you would support it, just like the City of Granbury gave their resolution of support, it doesn't mean that the project's necessarily going to go. It still has to be awarded through the awarding process at the state level.
If I could throw in, you came to my office a few days ago, right?
Yes, sir.
And we talked about it a little bit because this issue came up 2 years ago with the former Commissioner's Court, and it was basically the Commissioner's Court, if I'm understanding this correctly, is just giving their approval that you have to submit as one of the documents that you have to submit to even apply for this. That's all that we're doing.
Correct. To go back 2 years ago, we were here representing the same property with another development, very similar style in what was being delivered. It just wasn't awarded. Actually, what happened is another project in Granbury was awarded. It just wasn't in the ETJ. This particular property has a section of it that is in the ETJ. Therefore, we have to have a resolution of support from the county. But you're absolutely right. All you're doing is giving general support. You're not awarding it. It's not going to be built per se. It still has to go through the process of the state to be awarded the tax credits.
And we're talking about a 10-acre, roughly a 10-acre piece of land, correct?
Yes, sir.
Off of Meander Road?
Yes, sir.
And about half of that 10 acres is already in the city, correct?
Correct. Half of it is currently in the city limits, the other half is in the ETJ, and the current owner has already filed his paperwork to do a voluntary annexation to try to not need the resolution of support. But we have to have this by the end of the month in order to submit our application to the state, and his paperwork would not be in time for that.
So to clarify that, the city's likely or most probably going to annex that other portion in soon, correct?
Correct.
And so all we're doing is making sure that you can move forward with your project. We're not paying any money, correct?
Correct.
And we're just going to, but you need this paperwork to submit your proposal.
Yes, sir.
One question I had for Mr. Kaufman, sorry I didn't get a hold, we didn't connect earlier, but, and you know, I just kind of glanced through it. Yeah, I took a look at the Hood County News, but there's an article in there that you were kind of backing off some of this. What was that about? As a city?
We have met our quotient for regular marketplace apartments and multifamily. I believe we've exceeded the plan that we adopted in 2016 already. We're into that plan about 3.5 years, and we've got 600 multifamily units that are scheduled to be built or have been built, or we're in discussion to be built. This is one of those.
Okay.
And above that, we don't see the need to start changing our land use plans and things that have been adopted in that 2016 plan. And it's really just an opportunity for the council to take a check to make sure that they're satisfied with what the plan says, and if they wanted to start looking to change that plan, we needed to do that. Again, it goes back to policy and procedure. We adopted a plan, and we've been very developer friendly, and we've been amending that plan, and I just kind of threw in the red flag and said, let's stop and talk about this, and we've got a whole new council than what we had 4 years ago, so I thought it was a good opportunity to let them review that land use plan and understand where we're at, and also for our Planning and Zoning Commission to understand what the council direction is. So, but this plan has been talked about for 2 years. Right. It was a different developer 2 years ago, which brought us to the point where we began annexation into that area a long time ago, and it came to fruition in April of last year. So. But it did take about 20 months for us to go through that annexation process to get to where we were, with the intention of someday this project coming to fruition. I would like to add that it is just an application. It's not a done deal, like he said. You know, whether we get it or not is still to be determined. Right. The important thing is that the city is working with Granbury Housing Authority. We recognize that their housing stock is over 50 years old. And so 3 years ago, we began moving together with them, and we hired our consultant to help us to figure out some way for Granbury Housing Authority ultimately to have better housing stock. And we believe this agreement that we've got behind the scenes with the developer, with the Granbury Housing Authority, will eventually pay off in the long run. This is a long-term marathon race to try to help meet the housing needs. I mean, if a starting teacher has a hard time finding a place to work here or to live here in that salary range. And so we're trying to figure out a way to address that. And Ramon and his team have worked with these consultants. I don't know if y'all realize it, but every year there's this process. And you get these letters from developers all across the nation that are wanting to build tax credit housing in Granbury or in the county or wherever, and they want you to pass a resolution. In the past, it's just been kind of a, yeah, we'll give them a shot. If they can get it, go for it. Well, what we decided to do was let's back up a little bit here, and let's hold our resolution out to where we can get something to help our housing authority to move forward. And that way, it's not a deal where an apartment complex gets built, and after the cash flow fund is over, they leave town and leave us with a mess. Now we've got a deal where they've got an agreement with the housing authority where they can take it over for the debt structure that's remaining and make it keep the maintenance on it, keep it looking good, and make it a valuable piece of property for, the next 50 years.
If I may ask Mr. Guajardo, so what is, at this juncture, we pass this resolution today, what is the timeline? I mean, to get your paperwork in, I guess, by Friday?
Yes.
But then how does it work from there?
So from that point, our application is submitted to the state. They have until July to determine who is awarded in Region 3 rural. That is where we are located in, and so we will not know award until that time. There is times that after all the awards are given, there's an oversupply of funds, and they will go into a waterfall and start looking at other regions where they want to fund, where they have good, strong support. There is a possibility that we could get awarded through that waterfall rather than the true award, but it's not anything that anyone banks on.
And have you heard any feedback on other projects where adjoining neighbors have complained that it's affecting their property values or anything like that?
No, sir. Actually, one of the housing authorities that we represent as well is the Fort Worth Housing Solutions in Fort Worth. We have been for going on 19 years. When they started implementing this type of product back in 2001, the city of Fort Worth had went into a very high rent district, if you will, and did an acquisition. We got a lot of feedback of negativity, of course, understood, but the housing authority in the city moved forward with this type of project. In the end, the leader of their coalition that was kind of up against the acquisition of the housing authority, he changed his mind after he saw the outcome of the facility, and he now serves as a board member on the Fort Worth Housing Solutions. His name is Dick Stinson, and he is a true walking person that has been changed by this program because it is not bringing down properties around it, it's actually increasing their property values.
And the plan that you showed me, just for clarification for folks out here, is that actually some of the units will be rented out at market rate, correct?
Correct. So there's 10 units that are market rate out of the 48. Again, every unit is built exactly the same. We cannot dictate where an individual lives within a building to segregate them. It's state policy, and so every unit is built to the standard of a market rate unit in order to apply to have someone to come in and want to rent up those 10.
And then you have a certain amount set aside market rate, and then you kind of got a tiered program based on income so that folks can, families can get in there that otherwise may not be able to.
Absolutely. Our true target is really the working force, so it's more your 50% to 60% of area median income. That's probably the most served, and those are the ones that really, really need to rely on this, because if not, they're going to be living in other cities and potentially working in other cities as well. I also will add real quick that, currently the Granbury Housing Authority has 100 public units. Probably something that most people don't know. That's your true public housing. These types of developments are allowing the Granbury Housing Authority to shift out of that program. HUD is not putting more money into these properties. The good thing is your Granbury Housing Authority has done a good job in keeping up their facilities. You go to Fort Worth, you go look at some of their older, larger Butler Housings, for instance, is one. Those are true projects. Most of these housing authorities are getting out of that program, the HUD-assisted program, and it's this tax credit program that allows us to shift those tenants into better, more adequate quality housing.
I would just like to add that right across the street from Meander are duplexes. So that kind of goes with that neighborhood. It's not like we're breaking the egg here and doing something radical.
When we do work with the developers, we do look at the makeup of the neighborhoods, how much single family is touching the land, because we know the opposition. Nobody wants necessarily multifamily in your background sometimes, and that's where we are very keen on that. And like Chris said, having rental properties across the street kind of fits the mold of the area already.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything else to say? Thank you. Thank you, all three of you. Does anybody else have any further discussion? Do I hear a motion?
Yeah, I'm going to make a motion that we approve the resolution supporting a housing tax credit application for Meander Park LP proposed affordable housing project to be located at Meander Road south of North Fork Court, Granbury, Texas. And I have a proposed resolution with me.
Do I hear a second to this proposed resolution?
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Commissioner Eagle to approve the resolution supporting a housing tax credit application for Meander Park LP, second by Commissioner White. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And with that, we are adjourning the meeting. Thank you, Mr. Coffin, for coming down.